It is something that goes back to a period at least 9 months before I was born. Yoga is not something you do, but it's something you are. Often people get stuck into memorizing the scriptures, knowing every verse in the Bhagavad Gita or, the Yoga Sutra or the Hatha Pradipika. It is not whether you know it intellectually. Do your very cells in the body know? How can we become worthy of the grace of our benevolent mother, yoga?
Namaste to all the yoga sadhakas. Today we have the next episode of Yogānubhava series where we have Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani ji with us today. Namaste, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. And he's also one of my teachers as well. So it's always a privilege to talk to him and listen to him, and that too his own experience in the field of yoga, which he can share. So before I hand it over to him, let me just take a moment to introduce him to all of you. Yogācārya Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani is the director of Institute of Salutogenesis and Complementary Medicine and professor of yoga therapy at the Center for Yoga Therapy Education and Research, Shri Balaji Vidyapeeth University, Pondicherry. A recipient of prestigious Kalaimamani Award for Natyam in 2016 from Government of Pondicherry and coveted DSc in Yoga from Vyasa Yoga University in January 2019. He is the chairman of International Center for Yoga Education and Research at Ananda Ashram, Pondicherry, India, and Yoganjali Natyalayam, a premier institute of yoga and Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam in Pondicherry. He is a son and successor of internationally acclaimed yoga team of Yoga Maharshi, Dr. Swami Geetanandagiri Guru Maharaj, and Yogacharya Kalaimamani Ammaji Srimati Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani. He is a gold medalist in MBBS with postgraduate diplomas in both family health as well as yoga and advanced diploma in yoga under his illustrious parents in 1991 and 93. A fellow of Indian Academy of Yoga, he has authored 19 DVDs, 32 books, and 34 compilations on yoga as well as publications, as well as published more than 300 papers, compilations, and abstracts on yoga and yoga research in national and international journals. So with this introduction, I once again welcome Dr. Ananda ji with us today. Thank you so much, sir. And I think you know about Yogānubhava. So the whole question is, if you can bring in all your experience in a nutshell in 10-15 minutes time and share it with us, how that experience would look like, sir.
Yeah. Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam, swagatam. Such a pleasure to be here with you, Vinay. And I congratulate you on this noble endeavor to bring the great masters onto one platform and share the teachings. So as you know, I wish you very well in this project. And I think this is a question which every yoga sadhaka is looking for. A question which is about yoga itself and not, other paraphernalia of yoga that we often get questions asked about. When we talk about yoga, for me, I have to always keep in mind that it is something that goes back to a period at least 9 months before I was born. So for me, I don't have a before yoga, after yoga story. Maybe I have a lifetime before yoga and a lifetime in yoga story compared to most other people. One of the greatest lessons I have learned over the past 50 plus years of being in yoga is not something you do, but it's something you are.
Wow.
And I think this is the core of the whole philosophy, art, science, lifestyle of yoga that we talk about, that it is about who we are as a wholesome person rather than something we do at a certain time in the day. So I think what is very important here for me is that you cannot separate yoga from life. Yoga is life. And this is why Swamiji's definition of yoga as a way of living that enables conscious evolution to take place. I have seen this in my own life. Again, Shri Aurobindo of Pondicherry, he has also said, all life is yoga. And I think this is the same realization that hits me again and again, that you cannot separate yourself from yoga. You have to be yoga. Yoga has to be you. And this is where we realize that the most important teaching here is not an intellectual journey of yoga. Often people get stuck into memorizing the scriptures, knowing every verse in the Bhagavad Gita or, the Yoga Sutra or the Hatha Pradipika. It is not whether you know it intellectually. Do your very cells in the body know it? I think this is what, for me, I have found in yoga, that every moment has to be a moment in yoga. Your whole life is yoga. You have to become yoga. And through this, the other lesson that I have learned is one must respect and value this tradition of yoga. We cannot take it for granted. We cannot try to misuse it, abuse it, and use it for purposes other than yoga. So we cannot use yoga as a tool of popularity. We cannot use yoga as a tool for material success. Yoga for the sake of yoga has to be there. This is another very important lesson I have learned over these 5 decades. And this is why when you live yoga, yoga will take care of you. This is where another realization that has come for me is yoga is like my divine mother. So I consider yoga my divine mother because of that. And so all I have to do is respect her, serve her, obey her, be in tune with her, and she will grant me everything I need in this life. I don't have to ask. All of us, we know in India especially, with our mothers, that you don't have to say, I'm hungry. You go and sit down and they know, your mothers know that you are hungry and your food will be there. You don't need to say, I'm tired. They will automatically put on the fan for you. Automatically, the mother senses what the child needs and provides it. Yoga is like that. Whenever I need something, yoga is going to provide it for me. So I don't have to sell yoga for something. This is a very important lesson that I have learned and I continue to share. Yoga for the sake of yoga, respect yoga, love yoga, serve yoga, and realize that you are a physical representative of yoga herself. Now, I actually said yoga herself. So I'm giving yoga a feminine tinge here in the maternal perspective. I think this is very essential, Vinay, because we have often separated it. And that part of me starts to get agitated when I see people misuse it and use it for profit. People say, then should you not charge for classes? I say, yes, you can charge. That's different. But it cannot be exorbitant. It cannot be over the limit. And your need will be met by yoga, but not your greed. And this is where greed is a shatripu. We have to understand very clearly, kama, krodha, moha, lobha, all those are there. So we have to understand that there's a difference between need and greed. Our needs will definitely be met by yoga. Our greed may not be. And then we say, what's the use of being a yoga teacher? What is the use of having big ashrams? What is the use of having students? Because, I cannot have the latest Ferrari model 25/6A or something. It doesn't matter. You need a vehicle, yoga will provide it. You need shelter, yoga will provide it. You need clothing, yoga will provide it. But what do we need to do? We need to become worthy. And that is why, for me, the whole journey is how can we become worthy of the grace of our benevolent mother, yoga. I think this is a core lesson that has struck me very deeply in this journey.
Wow, so beautifully said. Because nowadays I see people coming to yoga looking for something always. They just come with the expectation, saying, I want to relieve my back issues or some health issues and all that. But now your message was like completely like you just be with the yoga and everything will happen automatically. Yoga will give you, and it's a divine mother. Such beautifully said, Dr. Ananda. That's a profound statement that it's a divine mother.
It happens again and again. Every time I doubt her, she provides.
Very true, very true.
Because
And
that
that's
small ego, sometimes the children say, my mother's not taking care of me. My mother didn't feed me. My mother doesn't love me. She does, but we don't understand her.
very true, very true.
I think this is why I would add to that yogyata.
Yeah,
We
should
need
be
to
prepared.
have that yogyata, that worthiness.
Exactly. Worthiness to take it. Yeah, fantastic. But now in your decades of experience, how do you think the yoga has changed from the way you were teaching before and the way you are looking at it now? Anything, or the people who have changed who are worthy of it, or do you see any changes in the way people are learning now?
Well, actually, it is very interesting because we like to say things have become worse. But I like to say that I'm getting better students these days.
Wow.
So it is actually contrary to the popular perception that, yoga has gone to the dogs and yoga. I think, I am getting so many more sincere sadhakas coming into my life, giving me an opportunity to share with them. And especially over the last 3-4 years, COVID, etc., opened the windows to innumerable people who I didn't have in my circle before. And I think that is a valuable lesson. But, initially, I would say if I go back 30 years ago, when very mindfully I was starting to teach, I have been teaching since I was, less than 10 years of age, because some class would be going on in the ashram for the children I would teach, or something would be going on. But I would say for the last 30 years, at least very mindfully, I've been teaching. And initially, my teaching curve and learning curve went together. So I used to teach the young children. And in order to make classes interesting, I would try to learn something. And this actually was a very important transformative process, which went on for about 10 years. And today, these concepts have become deeply imbibed in me because of that effort I made at that time. So I would say that effort I had to make was different. Today, I don't have to prepare for a class much, because today I just have to come there and just say, let it flow through me, and it flows. But before that happened, there was a lot of, you have to do it, you have to prepare, you have to read the notes, you have to go online and find a few quotations. Now and then I still go online, find a few quotations, make sure my concepts are aligned with tradition. So I think a very important thing in recent years for me is to align our teachings with the tradition of yoga and not create something new. So I think this is a transformation.
Wow, very well said. Yeah, that's a great wisdoms sharing with all of us today. So thank you so much, Dr. Anandaji, for joining us. So it really, this message is going to be passed on for the generations to come. So thank you so much.
And thank you for being the vehicle for the message to be passed on to the next generation. Wishing you all success. May our Divine Mother Yoga bless us all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.